to have. I'm so excited to be here with my friend, Dr. Davia. She's going to tell us all about collaboration in her new book. And so I'm so excited to have a chance to chat with her about this amazing book that she's put out and what she's learned over her many, many, many years in business on how to do things smarter and not harder, and how to make collaborations work in your business. So for all of those of my followers that are in business, this is a conversation you do not want to miss, because she has some really great stuff to share with us today. So tell us a little bit about your book, Dr. Davia, and a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody in Angels community. Here's the deal. If you're part of Angels community, you're my kind of people, and I'm just excited to be talking to you and so grateful that my dear friend Angel has invited me to have this conversation today. I'm Dr. Davia Shepherd, and I help the women who are part of my community, which is a free group which is focused on supporting women and giving them a platform to be intentionally supportive of each other. So there's only one main rule in our group, and that is that we're focused on intentional, aligned support. And you'd be surprised, but not everybody out there is intentional and aligned with their support. And not everybody out there is really focused on or in that mindset of being supportive of each other, especially in the business space. I do notice that it's not as common as you might think it would be. And yet, it is also a very easy way to grow your business. So I thought that people would be totally on top of this. I didn't even think that there was any reason for me to have to write a whole book about it. But guess what?
Guess what?
The need is there. It really
Absolutely.
is. And so this is why it became necessary to just share the principles of collaboration and how when you use this 5-step process in your business, and frankly, you can use this 5-step process in any aspect of your life, because what aspect of your life is not a collaboration? I mean, your relationships, your finances,
Mhm.
your business, whatever you think about, you're interacting with people. And so using this 5-step process can really be helpful for helping us to live our optimal lives, which is what I am committed to 100% all day long, to support the women who are part of my free community.
Yeah. Now, I've been in your community for quite a while. We've known each other a few years, and I feel like the universe brought us together because I sat at your table when I was supposed to sit somewhere else
Yes.
at the greater, let's see, that was the women's
Women in Business Summit.
women in business in
Yes.
Hartford. And I was supposed to sit with another group, and they had, given my chair away, and I ended up at your table, and I felt like, oh my God, this is exactly where I was supposed to be. And from that
Yeah.
point forward, you and I have been collaborating in a variety of different ways. You've had me come and speak at your group. I've been a member of the group. Most of the people that I'm friendly with here in Connecticut are in some way, shape, or form tied to that group. And from a business perspective, I've hired people out of that group. I've referred people in that group to other people. And I feel like we've got such a great little community. And I think you're right. I think it's so unusual to go to other business groups. And I've been doing this lately because I'm building my business. I'm adding myself to other women's groups. And I'm not seeing that same level of community and collaboration in those other groups. It's all like self promotion and a lot of like, clickbait, if you will, where they're putting something up for free just to like get addresses and names and Instagram accounts and those types of things. And I don't see any of that in Ladies Power Lunch. And I know that's because of who you are and the fact that you're so committed to people working together to rise, bring everyone up, and to help each other in a meaningful way, not just, grow social media accounts, although
Yes.
lovely, but like to really create a community where people know each other's business, They know each other's hobbies, you know what I mean? Like they know each other's life story, and we really play off each other well. And I've met some really, really wonderful women in your group. So I'm so very thankful that I was divinely placed at your table a few years ago.
I am so grateful that you were at my table. I mean, all the women at the table were amazing, and I have maintained contact with all of them, and it's just such a pleasure to meet women. I have one of my favorite mentors, Dr. Deepak Chopra, and he
Mhm.
always says when women get together, amazing things happen.
So true.
It's so true. It
Yeah.
just is. And we're the Mutual Admiration Society because I really do, Angel, appreciate the work that you're doing in the world. I feel like even though our messages are slightly different, I'm talking about, women, let's get together and let's support each other and we're all going to win and everybody grows and all of this fun stuff. And you're talking about confidence and making sure that you're taking care of you as
Mhm.
well. So it all goes hand in hand and you don't get one without the other. So I think it's
Absolutely.
perfect that we're
Yeah.
having this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think it is that in other groups or in other parts of business, we don't think about collaboration and what I'm going to call sisterhood, not just community, but sisterhood, like really getting down and dirty with our sisters, right? To figure out how do we do this business thing. Why do you think that's not happening in other places?
So I know the exact answer to this, but I asked this question yesterday. I had the privilege of being able to give a talk to a group
Mhm,
of 17-year-olds
mhm.
yesterday about Grow Smarter.
Yeah.
Whole auditorium full of 17-year-old girls.
Oh,
Filled my
cool.
heart so much. And I want to say a big thank you to Steps for inviting me. They're a nonprofit for inviting me to come talk to their women that are they're young women that are coming into the world and coming into business.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I asked this very same question of our audience, like, why do you think we aren't? I mean, it seems like it to me, it seems intuitive. Like,
Right. No brainer.
what else should we do? This is it. And a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful young woman raised her hand and she said, we've been taught competition.
Mhm. Right.
So it was great. It was beautiful because every single girl in the room, they were nodding.
Mhm.
They were agreeing, like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we were taught. And I made a little silly joke about, yeah, we learn competition even from the moment we're born because we are a baby and we're being tested against other babies to see, okay, are
Right.
you making your APGAR scores? You know,
Right.
we're starting to talk and we're being tested. Are you meeting the barrier, the limits that you're supposed, are you hitting your targets that you're
Mhm.
supposed to be hitting? Are you talking on time? Are
Right.
you walking on
Body
time?
training, all of that. Yeah.
All we've been really conditioned
Mhm.
to compete with each other. When we're in school, we're trying to get better grades than each other. And I mean, there is a place for competition in terms of maybe motivation. But again, out of the mouth of babes, my 11-year-old, and we have kids that are reasonably age appropriate. My 11-year-old, it's summer now, so he's training track and field. And
Mhm.
he said to me the other day, and I was so proud. He said to me, Mommy, every time I'm running a race, I'm really not competing with the people that I'm running the race with. I'm really competing with myself. I'm really trying to improve my best time.
Right.
And I thought to myself, I'm such a great mom.
Yes, you are.
Because think about this, Angel. This is
Yeah.
something that it took me a long time to learn. And I've
Right.
managed to impart this to my 11-year-old.
Right.
That's kind of great because he's going to grow up with a different approach.
Right.
But the idea of competition is insidious. It's
Mhm.
built into us. We've learned it since we're children.
Right.
And not only have we learned it since we're children, but it's been coming down through generations. This is
Mhm.
not new stuff. And we've been taught when we go into business to crush the competition as
Right.
women. And I'm coming from corporate, so I know this
Yep.
very, very well. We are taught that, you know what, there isn't room enough at the table for very many of us as women. So we have
Mhm.
to be sure to crush the other
Push the other
women
ones out, right.
who are competing. And there have been so many times when I was the youngest one at the
Mhm.
conference table, when I was the only woman at the conference table, when I was the only person of color at the
Mhm.
conference table. And you get this sort of feeling like, you know what, we're letting you in, but we need to keep all the competition out. So this very long way to answer your beautiful question is that we've been taught competition.
Yeah.
That's what we've been taught. And so our natural instinct to embrace each other and support each other has unfortunately been crushed.
Mhm. Right. Right. Exactly. And then, I think about it in the context of what I teach other women when I talk about sisterhood. It's not just in business or career, although that's where we see this lack show up really often. But it's also in our interpersonal relationships too, because we're taught to compete for the attention of a partner or a spouse.
Yes, ma'am.
We cut each other down and we blow each other up because we're competing for this guy, and that is just instead of coming together and realizing that we're better, stronger together as sisters and can support each other and not do that to each other. We're taking all of the cues from the patriarchy and we're putting them into everything we do and not really being conscious of it. And so that's a lot of what I break down with people is, sisterhood is sisterhood, and what she's doing, which might be a different path than what you're wanting to do, and that's okay. Like, it's totally fine for us to be in parallel lanes and both excelling. And I love being in the coaching community now because I see that there's so many paths to success, that there's abundance to be had, and there's not a need to worry about whether you're doing
Yes.
as good as everyone else, because you're in your lane just like your son. I'm in my lane and I'm checking my own time, right? And I'm just moving forward as the best of my ability and moving myself forward. And to have all these other sisters, other women, to look at it as examples of that's where I'm headed, right? Like, why would I want to pull them down? They're the example. So I just think it's so interesting when you get into collaboration, when you get into a community that has true sisterhood, and you really start to see that there is room at the table for everyone and that everyone lifts each other up, that it kind of changes your worldview about what's possible.
It really does. And it makes so much more possible. You
Mhm.
know, I wish that I had more opportunities to talk to the young women
Yeah,
because it's our turn now to change the world, but they're the next.
right.
And so we need to make sure that whatever foundations we're going to lay, that they'll be able to build on it.
Mhm.
And it was just such an awesome opportunity to talk to them yesterday and to say to them, guys, I'm going to challenge every paradigm that you have learned up to this point. And I'm going to tell you that competition is a mental construct. It does not exist. It is not real. We've been taught it, and we live in a society where a lot of people think it's real, but
Right.
it's not a real thing. And in the context of the work world, in a room, Angel as a coach and myself as a transformational coach, we're two
Mhm.
coaches on a call
Right.
collaborating, right?
Mhm.
If you're in a room with 500 other coaches, it is irrelevant because there's 7.7 billion
Right.
people on the planet.
Mhm.
7.77 billion people on the
Yeah.
planet. I feel like you could find enough people to fill your practice, and
Right.
I could too. I
Yeah.
feel like it's okay. There is no lack. There is
Right.
no lack except the lack that you place. I love to use the example of my my practice or private practice here with myself and my partner, or sometimes we have other doctors that are here with us. And upstairs we have another internist, two internists, and another kind of physician.
Mhm.
There is no competition whatsoever.
Right.
We're all doctors. Some of us even do exactly the same thing. And my patients will always see me, and their patients will always see them. And if they have to see me or my patients have to see them for some time, it's okay. But they're always going to come back because my special sauce is my special sauce. And what
Right.
attracts my clients is going to be very different from what's going to attract your clients.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So tell us more about some of the stories of collaboration that you use in the book as illustrations of why this is the way forward for us.
You know, I really want, especially our friends who are entrepreneurs, our
Mhm.
friends who are corporate women climbing that corporate ladder, our friends who are heart-centered women in business. I would love for us to embrace this as the new business paradigm, the
Mhm.
supporting each other, the collaborating with each other. Because what I know for sure, I know Oprah says that a lot, and
Yep.
obviously if she says it's right.
It's gold.
Obviously, intentional aligned support brings
Mhm.
that life of ease and flow. So
Mhm.
so many of us, Angel, we left corporate maybe with the hope that we would be having the freedom of time
Mhm.
and the freedom of income that being an entrepreneur promises. And we were told work harder, and we were told do more, and put your shoulder to the wheel and give it your all. And those are all great things. I am not disparaging that at all. But what I can tell you from my personal experience is that working harder and pushing harder and just doing it and doing more is not necessarily a recipe for success for the majority. Does that make
Right.
sense for you,
Right.
Angel?
Yep, it does. Yeah.
It will be the recipe for success for a very small number of people, but for the majority, what is going to provide that success is going to be working together and pulling together. And the reason is because that's how we were made. We
Mhm.
were made to be in community. We were
Right.
never meant to be isolated. We're all made with different gifts and different skills and different talents. If you don't believe me, just look out, look
Walk outside
outward.
your house.
Everybody's doing something different.
Right.
Everybody's excelling at something different. I have this deep-seated belief that every single one of us has genius.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of whether we've discovered it and whether we are expressing it and whether society has decided that that is something that it values. But every single one of us is genius, everyone. And
Right.
so we're all good at different things.
Mhm.
What happened with me was I had a little, I, my background is research and I worked for big pharma for a while. I had a little bit of a crisis of conscience, and we can talk about that some other day. And I went into private practice
Mhm.
to work directly with patients and help patients one patient at a time,
Yep.
changing the world. Yes, I have a superhero complex. It's
Yeah. Me too. I'm gonna fix all women. Yes. Okay.
gotta fix everybody and fix
That's right.
everything. Here's the thing though. My timing couldn't have been worse. And I talk about this a little bit in the book.
Mhm.
I tell my story. I'm very transparent about it. I was joining our practice at a time when our country was in an economic downturn. It wasn't great times for the people in our community. A lot of them lost their jobs, a lot of them lost their health insurance. Angel, a lot of them even lost their houses. Like it was not great times. And what that meant for us is that we had a whole book to fill, we had bills to pay, and we just did not have the same patient flow that we did before I
Before.
joined our practice before the economic downturn. And so my training kicked in. Work harder, do
Mhm.
more, be more, make blood out of stone. We've all heard, have you heard all the things, all these little
Mhm.
proverbs and sayings that we've
Yeah.
been taught?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a Jamaican proverb, and I think I mentioned it in the book. my parents are Jamaican, so
Mhm.
you know, if you want good, you know, have to run. And that just means that if you want something good, you have to suffer a bit
Mhm.
for it. And so here's what I did. My amazing mentor suggested to me, why don't you go networking? You will meet new patients who probably never heard about you, and they will come in and see you. So I went out and networking. If there was a networking group, I joined it.
Mhm.
They had morning networking,
Mhm.
coffee and conversations. I was there.
Yeah.
They had
Been there, done that.
lunchtime. I was there.
Yeah.
And guess what, Angel? When they had after hours, I
Mhm.
was there too.
Yep.
Because work harder, do more, go at it is what I had been taught. And really, that's how I had lived my life up to that point. But here's what was happening. Even though our patient group had, shrunken a bit, I still knew a lot of people in our community. And so I was happily giving referrals to everybody because that's just the kind of person that I am, right? But people weren't reciprocating.
Mhm.
And it got to a point where I would just sit down and watch, just to observe. And people would just be shoving, I kid you not, shoving business cards into my face.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I was mentioning this, it just popped into my head yesterday. I remember there was one gentleman who he he came in and he was wanting me to refer patients to him because he had some kind of thing that my patients might have been interested in. And I said to him, well, I'm not sure if you really understand what it is that I do. He's like, I know what you do. Here's my card. And I was like, okay, thank you.
Yeah. With expectation. Yeah.
All right.
No reciprocal action. Yeah. It doesn't really
Ju-
work.
just just
Yeah.
like that. I mean, legitimately, this
Yeah.
actually happened.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I
so
believe it.
I got to a point where I was a little disenchanted.
Mhm.
I was putting in so much effort. People, you could talk to people who know me from those days, and they'll tell you, yes, she was at everything. And they could just expect that I would be at an
Yeah.
event.
Yep.
If an event was happening, Dr. Shepherd's going to be there.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry. She's going to be there. And I was on all the committees and I remember a time when I was like vice president of the chamber, as president of another
Yeah.
networking group. I was
Yeah.
doing all the
All of it. Yep.
things.
Yep.
So I don't think you could call me lazy. I was
Nope.
just doing it just
Yeah.
like I was taught. And
Right.
guess what? It wasn't working.
Wasn't working. Yeah.
Wasn't
Absolutely.
working.
Yeah.
Lots of people were getting lots of referrals from me, but it wasn't working.
Right.
One day, in my effort to connect, I invited 6 women to have lunch with me at a Ruby Tuesday on Route 6 in Bristol, Connecticut, here in New
Mhm.
England. And something amazing happened. And I bet you can guess what happened. Basically, when women get together, amazing things
Mm.
happen.
We're so
These women
magical.
came, they sat at the table, they didn't know each other before.
Yeah.
They were from all different types of businesses. I tell people all the time, one was from a nonprofit, one was a banker, one was an attorney, one sold greeting cards, one
Mhm.
was a, I want to say videographer or photographers, just totally different businesses.
Mhm.
Nothing that you'd say, okay, these would definitely be able to. One was a real estate agent. Nothing that would connect them all together. And yet we sat at that table, Angel,
Mhm.
and everybody just wanted to support each other. Not because I was going to give them a referral or they were
Right.
going to give me one, but just because we were women and we were there and we were together and we needed help. And oh, let me pull out my phone and I'm going to just send a text message to this person to
Right.
connect you guys. And oh, you need something? Let me send an email and let me connect you. And it wasn't just business stuff. It
Mhm.
was life stuff.
Mhm.
Somebody
Yep.
needed a babysitter. Somebody needed help with her elderly parent.
Mhm.
And it was just referrals going back and forth and
Mhm.
connections and let me put your number in my phone so that we can talk later and that
Mhm.
sort of thing. At the end of the little hour that I had scheduled, everybody did not want to leave.
Right. Absolutely.
And somebody said, why don't we do this more often? Oh my goodness, this was amazing. And I said, okay, let's do it. And I put it on the calendar every third Monday of the month. We'll get together. If you can make it, great. If you can't, no
No
problem.
worries.
We'll see you next time. And you're always invited to bring a girlfriend
Mhm.
every time. And we grew from those 6 women in a Ruby Tuesday on Route 6 in Bristol, Connecticut. That Ruby Tuesday isn't even there anymore. That was 8 years ago.
Right.
And now our membership is international.
Mhm.
Yesterday, we welcomed a new member from Belgium.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah.
women want community. Women want to get together. Women want to support each other.
Absolutely.
And I feel so blessed and so grateful that I am able to host this particular group of women and to encourage community, intentional and aligned support.
Mm. So I know in your book you have some 5 steps, if you will, or 5 pillars to make collaboration work in your business or in your life, if that's where you need it.
Mhm.
A little bit more about that process. What can you share without giving away all the goodies?
I'll just give away all the goodies because it's
Okay.
your peeps, right? And so goodies, they must be given.
Yes.
Here's the thing. You know, we probably make everything a little bit more difficult than it has to be. And the process, in my opinion, is so simple and so intuitive, but it also does require that we rely a little bit on our intuition.
Mhm.
And how many of us are really tuned in and tapped in to our intuition? How many of us we get that gut sense that no, no, don't do that. We still go ahead and do it and then we're sorry. How often does that happen? Like all the time. So I invite us to spend some time really honing our intuition because that's going to be the first step when it comes to having successful and lucrative collaborations.
Mhm.
The step one, I call it ask, and we say it's 5 steps to take you from being alone to being abundant. And step one is ask. And I'm not sending anybody out there to go ask for somebody to collaborate with them because you can't start there. It's like what you do, Angel, where you work with people on their insides first.
Mhm.
That's where you have to start.
Right.
And so you have to go within and you have to ask of yourself. You have to get some clarity. You have to make some space. You have to spend time in quiet contemplation, getting very clear about what it is that you want. Do you
Mhm.
even
Absolutely.
want a collaboration? Is that what you want? If you do, what are your boundaries? And there's a beautiful story in the Grow Smarter book about from one of our dear friends, Tanya Tyler.
Mhm.
And she talks about how she just jumped headfirst into this collaboration, no thought at all
Mhm.
about it. And it obviously didn't work well because she wasn't even clear about what she wanted out of the collaboration.
Right.
And nothing was wrong with her collaboration partner. It's just that what she wanted was not what the collaboration partner offered. And
Right.
so, starting with that, going within and being very clear about what you want, being clear about your boundaries, being clear about the direction that you'd like things to take, that
Mhm.
has to be step one, I think. And being able to tune in to your inner knowing and your inner guidance. I love step one because if we weren't talking about a book where you have to have steps, I would just say do step one.
That's right.
Just tune in. And if you are really honed and tuned into your inner guidance,
Right.
won't steer you wrong.
You'll get it.
You'll get it. But of course, we have been trained by society. Again, it's insidious, but we start to learn it really early on. We've been trained not to listen to our
Mhm.
intuition.
Certainly have. Yep.
We've been trained to ignore that tiny voice. And so it takes a little retraining to actually hear your inner self talking to you. And it's not one size fits all, because I'm sure your little inner person speaks a different language from mine.
Mhm.
It's not one size fits all. So it really takes a little practice to figure out how your inner self does
Yeah.
really communicate. Step two is sort of leaning onto step one. And that's what I mean about all the steps sort of overlapping. Step two is alignment. You have to make sure that the values that you have and the values that your collaboration partner has are aligned.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not aligned, you're gonna have problems down
Right.
the line. It's gonna show up. You have to make sure that the energy of the collaboration is right. And there's some people, they have that spidey sense. They can walk into a room and they can tell, nope, that's not going to be a good collaboration. Yep,
Mhm.
that's going to be great. But it
Yep.
really does require that you tune in to what your inner knowing is saying to you. I also talk in this particular spot in the book about communication,
Mm-hmm.
because communication has to be aligned. Here's
Right.
something, Angel, I think you and I have had this conversation before. It feels like deja vu all over again.
We probably have.
You ever talking to somebody and they're talking back to you and you feel as though you're having two completely different conversations?
Yeah.
It's like you're talking and they're just waiting for an opportunity to insert words here, but they're not hearing anything you're saying at all. Like,
Yeah.
communication isn't talking at somebody. It
Right.
really, really requires mutual understanding. And so, this is why when you ask a lot of people, what makes a collaboration successful? And I asked a lot of people, we did a whole interview series. And if you buy the book, you get the bonus content with all the interviews that I did. The first thing that comes out of people's mouth when you say collaboration is communication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the communication is one thing, aligned communication is something
Right.
else
You have to have the
entirely.
same goals. You have to have the same end result in mind. It's almost like that group project in high school where the one kid that never shows up and you can't reach him, and then it's the last day, and you're like, okay, if you don't have the same goal, which is we all want to get an A and we all want to work on this together, there's gonna be problems. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And then, under that whole banner of alignment, and I
Mhm.
agree about the group project. I talk about that a lot because
Yeah,
I also think that the group project is one of the reasons why we shy away from
it is. Yep.
collaborations,
Yep.
because we've been burnt in the past. We have a
Absolutely.
little post-traumatic stress surrounding those
Mhm.
collaborations that we've done, and our poor teachers, they tried. But I feel like if they had these 5 steps when they were handing us this group project, it would have gone a whole lot better.
Well, that's the thing. You don't get to pick the people you're on that group
This
project with.
is true. This is
In your
true.
business, you get to pick.
In your business, you get to choose. You
Yeah.
really, really do. And so you get to choose people that you trust.
Yeah.
And you get to choose people that you can feel a sense of openness with. And so
Mhm.
that's why ask and alignment have to be steps
Right.
1 and 2. And they're so hand in hand that it's sort of hard to divorce them from each other, but they're two separate steps. Step 3 is all in, all in. And a lot of the times when I say all in, people think, okay, yeah, we need to make sure those other people are all in. Our collaboration partners need to be all in. But I'm just going to be guilty right here and explain why I also need to be all in.
Right. Yeah.
I'm in launch mode right now. So, the book is coming out, and this week and the next 5 weeks, leading up to Grow Smarter Live are going to be super busy. And there are people reaching out to me saying, hey, let's collaborate on this thing. Let's collaborate on this other thing. And while it would be my deepest desire to do that, the timing right now for me
Yeah.
is not right because I cannot be all in right now
Mhm.
on a collaboration project. I cannot commit in
Mhm.
that way. And I cannot provide the level of cooperation that's required. So it's not a great time for me.
Yep.
And so making sure that the other person's all in, the other person's committed, the other person is cooperating, that's important. But making sure that we are also,
Yeah.
that's a piece that we tend to miss.
Yeah.
Step 4 is assignment. This one's tricky, and I've been guilty of doing all the things.
Let me put 2 hands up on that one. Yeah,
I've been guilty of it.
I am delegation challenged.
Here
Absolutely.
it's hard, right? Because when you're a solopreneur, you do a lot, or you're a small business owner and your staff is small, like
Yeah.
our office. You do a lot of things. You learn to
Mhm.
do everything from vacuuming the carpet to treating the patients,
Mhm.
whatever needs to be done. I
Right.
have been called on to change the toner in the copy machine,
Right.
right?
Unplug the toilet. Do whatever needs
Whatever
to
it
do. Right.
needs, whatever needs to happen,
Right.
you do it. I came in one day, total side note, came in one day, I drove in, and I kid you not, there was like a storm the night before, and there's a dumpster right near the back parking lot,
Mhm.
and it blew open overnight, and
Mhm.
every single piece of trash got
All over the
blown
place.
into the parking lot.
Yep.
What do you think I spent that first hour of the day doing?
Picking up all the trash.
All the trash.
That's
I
right.
was the trash collector that day.
Yep.
So assignment is important because, as especially if you're like two entrepreneurs getting together, two small business people getting together, you know how to do the rudimentary basics of pretty much everything in your business.
Right.
But do you do it well? Is it your expertise?
No, of course not. You can't
Probably
do
not.
everything right. Yeah.
And so it's important, say you and I were going to collaborate together, Angel. It's important that I talk about community, and it's important that you talk about the self, right? And we could collaborate that way. It is not a good idea for me to be doing the website. I
Right.
know how to do websites.
Right.
Not great at it. It's not my brilliance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and also, I mean, I'm a trained, transformational retreat leader. I could talk to your group about the self and going within, but that's not my expertise.
Mhm.
So why would I want to even go in that direction when that's what you are focused on? So
Right.
being able to figure out what's your brilliance, what's your genius, who has special talents, who's going to do what, the
Mhm.
assignment is very important.
Absolutely.
And that's step 4. But step 5 is very close to step 4, and that's considering applications and resources. When we're in a collaboration together, we might have that tendency to revert to the do everything and the work harder, and that's not what this is about, because it's going to bring the wrong kind of energy to the project. You want to make sure that you're taking advantage of all the technology that's available to
Mhm.
support you in your collaboration. You want to make sure that you are delegating things. So it might mean you need a VA, or it might mean you might even need to draw somebody else into your
Right.
collaboration project. Get the support where you need it. And then one last little piece that it doesn't have a number, but I just recommend this for life in general. Maintain a level of detachment from outcome. Truth is, just about anything that you're going to do or plan, as you're planning, things are changing.
Mhm.
And nothing's ever going to go 100% exactly the way it went when you played it over in your mind.
Never.
might go really, really close. It might go terribly.
Mm-hmm.
Maintain a level of detachment. And if it goes well, awesome. What did you learn from that? And if it goes terribly, also awesome. What did you learn from that?
Won't do that again.
Exactly.
Exactly.
We want to grow, but we don't necessarily have greater energy or greater resources at our disposal. But
Mm-hmm.
Angel, if we're able to take advantage of the power of the collective to support us in our businesses and in our lives, we can achieve that ease and that flow that we're
Mm-hmm.
all looking for. And we can live our optimal lives. It
Yes,
is possible.
absolutely. Tell me about last week when you went to the beach instead of going to work. You played hooky.
I did. And
And it's all
this
because of collaboration.
this
I
is
mean, here you
all
are in
about
the middle of lunch.
collaboration.
You're in the
So,
middle of lunch. You have a million things going on.
yes.
Like, Mom, I want to go to the beach.
Mhm. And it was his birthday. So how
You
could I say no?
can't.
It was my baby. It was his birthday and he wanted to go to the beach. And I'm in the middle of pre-launch planning. But one of the things about our book Grow Smarter is, and this is what it looks like, guys. So if you ever feel like you want to get it, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
It was a complete collaboration from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled into the parking lot of Target to have a conversation with a friend, and she said to me, "You have to write this book." And she kind of gave me a little, she's an excellent coach, but she's a friend, and she gave me a little bit of coaching. And I said, "Okay, I really do have to write this book." So I reached out in Our Ladies Power Lunch community,
Mm-hmm.
and we have many amazing publishers in our group. And I said, "Who's there?" And somebody raised her hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so Elizabeth is our publisher, and she has her whole team. They were all working to support our book. I put my hand up again in the group and I said, "I need somebody to help with graphic design for the cover and to also help us with our social media side of the launch." Somebody raised her hand
Mm-hmm.
and she was able to take care of all of that. And so she and her team. So I had those two teams at my back. I
Mm-hmm.
had my personal coach, Darla Ledoux and Ashley Woods and their team
Mm-hmm.
supporting me as well. And so I could take a day off right in the
Ah!
middle of pre-launch because I was not doing this alone. I
You're
was
doing
not doing
all of
this
the
alone.
things. Yeah.
And I just want to give a special shout out to see how beautiful the cover is.
It's not so nice. Yeah. It's
I'm
gorgeous.
amazed that somebody could take the ramblings of my mind and make it into a pretty picture. I'm still amazed, but I want to shout out to Barb of Infinity Design because she did a really good job with the cover and creating all the social media things that we needed to do. But collaboration allowed me to have the freedom that we all dream of when we go into this entrepreneurial space, the freedom to say, "Nope, I'm not going to work today," and I'm going to put a post in the group to say, "You know what? Our usual regularly scheduled programming, it's not going to happen today because I'm at the beach. Here's a
Right.
picture of me and my baby. Enjoy
Wow.
that
Peace
while
out.
we enjoy the beach."
Yeah. And that's how it should be. You should be able, as an entrepreneur, once you get the wheels turning, right? To be able to rely on your team and to be able to say, today's not the day. I'm gonna do that other stuff that I need to do on another day because today is really for refreshing myself and for renewing my relationships and to do all the things that entrepreneurship promises. You've got to take those little breaks in there and smell that's what I say, they smell the roses as you go, right?
Smell the
Smell
seawater.
the
I don't know.
roses. Yeah, smell the collaboration. It's so good. I was so proud of you. I was like, yes, she took a day off. That's awesome. And it shouldn't be that unusual, right? We shouldn't be seeing that as unusual. We should be seeing that as unusual. We should be seeing that as it's happening because we're all working smarter and not harder, and
Yes.
able to do it in a community. So I'm really excited for you to be able to have that experience. And I'm so excited for your book. And I'm excited to tell everyone about it because I think it's going to be really helpful for a lot of small business owners who are really burnt out and really tired and not making the money they're looking to make and feeling like, oh, is this really worth it? Yes, it is, but you've got to get help and you got to have the right people to help you. So I think it's a great message. Somebody had to write the book. It might as well have been you.
Somebody had to do it.
So how do we get the book? Those people that are here and want to get it.
Guys, please get the book.
Get the book.
Will you please get the book? I
You have to
invite
get
you
the
to
book.
get the book. And it's so easy. Now, I want to make everything that I do as close to as a collaboration as possible. And in the book, I explain what a collaboration is and what a collaboration is not. So remember that group project that we did in school? That's not a collaboration.
That's not it.
A
No.
collaboration requires a win-win-win, right? So I win, obviously, when you purchase the book, but you win too because I give you a special gift just to say thank you for making the purchase. If you go to our website, growsmarternotharder.com, you'll be able to purchase the book there. The book is called Grow Smarter. You'll be able to purchase the book there at growsmarternotharder.com. And when you put your proof of purchase in the website, it will automatically give you a 4-module course. And here's the reason I did that. I read a ton of books. I could angle up to my, yeah, it's crazy up there.
Up there.
There's a lot. I read a ton of books. Like I'm always reading. But Angel, how many books have you read that have had such great information and you read it and you really take in the information, but then it goes back on the shelf and maybe a lot of the things that you could have implemented in your business or in your life or whatever, you probably didn't do such a good job of it. That happens a lot, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what I'm hoping, and I made it short, just 4 modules, short but impactful. 4 modules that allow you to integrate all the principles that are outlined here in our book, Grow Smarter. And that is yours for 100% free just for purchasing the book. So you get a chance to read the
Nice.
book and then you get a chance to implement the book. And then another little freebie for you, if you do actually purchase the book and you put your proof of purchase in, you'll get an email back that gives you a chance to have a discounted ticket to attend Grow Smarter Live. That's going to be on August 30th. And it's going to be a full day of integration.
Mhm.
So we give you information, we give you an opportunity to implement, and then we're going to give you an opportunity to integrate. And that's how habits get formed, right? That's
Absolutely.
how you actually get to learn how to do something and make it a part of your life. And so
Right.
if you are really focused on, you know what, I want to grow my business, I want to do it smarter, then go to growsmarternotharder.com, get the book, but also take advantage of all the free stuff that we have to
Yeah,
offer you.
it's so wonderful that you added that extra value because it is true. You buy a book, you read it, oh, this was great, and you stick it back in the bookshelf, and 2 weeks later, you're back to doing things the exact same way. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I am
great.
guilty of it,
Yeah,
Angel, so
myself
I
too.
know.
Me too. Well, thank you so much for sharing everything with us. I so enjoyed having you, and I'm so glad that we could offer this special deal to all the people on my page and all the people in my groups. I know that there's so many business owners that I work with that are struggling with all of this and how to hire the right team and get the right people on board. And to know that your book can help them figure that out is really helpful. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Angel.
Thanks so much.